The city archive never pretended to be welcoming. The lights stayed low even when the rest of the building slept, and the air carried a faint metallic dryness that erased urgency from anyone who entered. Kian sat alone at a long wooden table, a stamped ledger opened carefully in front of him. Every page was numbered, every column restrained. He came here on nights when the world outside felt loud enough to reach into his pockets. Above him, old ventilation hummed with a tired consistency. Across the room, shelves stretched into shadow, holding decades of decisions that no longer belonged to anyone alive. In this place, numbers survived emotion. Plans outlived ambition. That steadiness calmed him. 2 floors above street level, his office overlooked traffic that never stopped moving. The windows didn't open. Neither did most conversations. He earned enough to remain stable and enough to feel the edge of wanting more. Not luxury, not applause, but control over time. Control over reactions. Control over how much of himself responded to the world's invitations. The city specialized in shortcuts. Bright windows promising transformation. Ads suggesting relief could be delivered overnight. Subscriptions that removed friction while quietly increasing dependency. Each purchase framed as self-care. Each expense disguised as identity. His phone knew his weak hours, late evenings after long silence, slow Sundays when comparison crept in, moments when exhaustion blurred the difference between need and impulse. That was why he came to the archive. No one sold anything here. No notifications followed him between shelves. Only old contracts, faded budgets, and plans written with the patience of people who expected time to test them. He studied those records the way others studied market trends. On the table beside the public ledger lay his own notebook. Inside it, he tracked attention rather than money. What he reached for when he felt small. What he avoided when he felt uncertain. He wasn't trying to control himself. He was trying to observe the moment before choice hardened into habit. He turned a page in the construction firm ledger. The paper made a dry whisper, a sound that reminded him of restraint. His phone vibrated. A friend had posted a close-up photo of a new watch. Clean lighting, casual caption, the kind of purchase framed as effortless success. Kian stared longer than he intended, not because he wanted the watch, but because he felt the quiet pressure of appearing behind. His chest tightened. Not envy, something colder. A sense that time itself respected louder lives more than quiet ones. His mind offered suggestions disguised as logic. Upgrade something small. Change how people see you. Purchase distance from doubt. He imagined the delivery box arriving. The brief rush. The way ownership temporarily rearranged self-perception. He also remembered the silence that followed when objects became ordinary again, when identity returned unchanged. He slid the phone beneath his notebook. The archive remained neutral. Back in the ledger, he found a 5-year project timeline. Year 1, planning. Year 2, groundwork invisible to outsiders. Year 3, delays. Year 4, corrections. Only in year 5 did progress appear dramatic from a distance. He traced a column of small payments repeated month after month. No hero moments. No sudden victories. Just disciplined repetition. His mind resisted it. He preferred decisive leaps. Promotions. Visible turning points. Moments that forced recognition from others. But his life didn't move in leaps. It moved in accumulated hours. In the margin, a plain note caught his attention. Hold cash for weather. He sat back. Weather, unexpected expenses, family needs, emotional fatigue, loneliness-driven spending. The storms no one predicted, but everyone experienced. His throat tightened, not from desire but from recognition. He left the archive near midnight. The streets glowed with artificial urgency. Neon lights flickered like promises that refused to expire. Ads insisted improvement was one purchase away. In his apartment, he left the lights dim. He emptied his pockets onto the counter. Keys, receipts, transit card, small artifacts of daily movement. From a drawer, he removed an older notebook labeled simply, "Rules for Emotional Days." The rules were short. No purchases after 9 p.m. No spending when tired. No celebrating with objects. No proving. He read them slowly, closed the notebook, opened his banking app, not to admire progress, not to panic, only to observe. The numbers initially felt like a judgment. Then, slowly, they returned to being information. He hesitated before making a small transfer from spending to reserve. His mind argued, too small to matter, too restrictive, too cautious. The resistance surprised him. Discipline, he realized, often felt like loss in the moment. He completed the transfer anyway. Then he set a weekly check-in alert scheduled for calm hours, Monday mornings before the world imposed urgency. He placed the phone face down and sat quietly. Nothing dramatic changed, but his shoulders lowered slightly, as if his nervous system recognized a familiar structure returning. Over the following weeks, external life appeared unchanged. Same commute, same office, same thin apartment walls. Yet internally, his relationship with temptation shifted. Co-workers joked about rewarding themselves after minor successes. He listened without judgment, noticing how spending often followed stress rather than achievement. Friends invited him to loud weekends filled with comparison disguised as celebration. He attended briefly, leaving before the conversations turned into subtle competition. He rearranged his apartment for friction rather than convenience. Credit cards moved into drawers. Shopping apps disappeared from his phone. He added small delays between impulse and action, but he also made space. A simple desk, a comfortable chair, a warm lamp, an environment that encouraged deliberate thought rather than emotional reaction. Some nights the old itch returned, the feeling that he was missing a faster, louder version of life. He didn't argue with it. He let it move through him like weather. He washed dishes slowly, folded clothes carefully, wrote one sentence about long-term goals, then stopped before turning reflection into performance. His reserve account grew quietly, not dramatically enough to impress anyone else, but enough to change his breathing. Emergencies no longer felt catastrophic. Silence no longer demanded spending as compensation. One evening, during a team meeting, a colleague announced a large purchase. Applause followed. For a moment, Kian felt invisible, as if restraint erased his presence. Instead of reacting, he observed his internal response. The urge to prove himself, the desire to display success, the subtle pressure to participate in status signaling. He said nothing. The feeling passed. Later that night, walking home through crowded streets, he noticed advertisements differently. They no longer looked like opportunities. They looked like requests for attention. Requests he was no longer obligated to accept. Months passed. His external identity remained modest. His internal authority strengthened. Eventually, he returned to the archive. The same dim lights, the same long table, the same shelves holding decisions that had survived multiple generations. He opened his notebook and wrote the date. Then one line, still calm. He didn't document his savings or his goals. He documented his mental state, the absence of urgency, the disappearance of emotional lunging. Across the room, a well-dressed man moved slowly between shelves. Confident but unhurried. No performance. No visible need for validation. The man didn't acknowledge him. He didn't need to. Kian felt no urge to imitate his appearance or possessions, but only a quiet recognition that real wealth often appeared as unpressured movement through time. He returned to the public ledger and turned another page. The paper made that same dry whisper, restraint. For the first time, he understood that thinking like the wealthy had nothing to do with luxury or confidence. It was about emotional pacing, responding from calm rather than urgency, choosing stability over spectacle, allowing time to compound behavior before money had the chance to. He left the archive carrying nothing visible, yet something fundamental had shifted. His decisions no longer attempted to impress his past fears. Moral: he trained his thinking first, and money stopped needing to define his worth. Reflective question: if your calmest hour made your financial decisions, how different would your life look a year from now?